I'm Namrata,
And I'm Nick.
and welcome to Unreal and Unsolved, the podcast where we dive into the eerie, the unexplained, and the downright bizarre. And then we take it a step further by asking what if reality isn't what we think? Okay, so I'm just going to start this point blank, okay?
Yeah.
So imagine this.
Okay.
You are an astronaut.
Okay.
Okay.
I have my little
So you're
fishbowl on my head.
yeah. So you're strapped into a spacecraft
Uh-huh.
and you're about to be launched literally into the unknown.
Uh-huh.
Correct. And but instead of your name literally going down in history, because come on, you've gone out of space and all of that, you just disappear.
Yeah.
No record, no recognition, just silence. Like you never even existed.
Okay, that's downright depressing, isn't it? So that's what we're gonna be diving into today. The idea that the Soviet Union sent Cosmo astronauts into space before Yuri Gagarin.
Who was technically this like the first man from Soviet Union.
Yeah, but when things went wrong, they simply erased them from history. No failures, no bad PR. They were just deleted.
So because let's be real, right? During the space race, image was kind of everything.
Yeah.
It had to be who's the one first.
Yeah.
So USSR and USA weren't just competing to see who could launch the first man into space. They're actually battling for global dominance. And technically, when the stakes are that high, losing is surely not an option.
So, what if the Soviets did launch people before Gagarin and covered it up because they didn't survive? What if their first weren't actually their firsts?
But that's not on the wildest part, right? Because there's actual evidence that suggests that this might not be just another Cold War conspiracy. From intercepted radio signals to leaked Soviet documents, we talk about a theory that has just enough proof to actually kind of make you wonder that maybe what we're saying is actually true.
So today, just for you, we're breaking it all down.
And for us also, actually.
Okay, yeah, but make them feel special.
I want to feel special.
Okay, yeah, for you, just for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Just for you, we're gonna be breaking it all down. So, what evidence exists? Who are the supposed missing cosmonauts? And if this is real, how deep does the cover up go?
And buckle up, because there's one theory that's very heavy.
And creepy.
Yeah. And just like the silence that might be hiding some of the darkest secrets of the space race.
Oh, that was good.
Right. I think so.
Yeah, that was really good.
So basically, guys, get ready.
And compliment our ways of speaking.
What?
I don't know. Okay, so before we jump into this conspiracy, what do? We have to set the stage.
Selling the stage.
Okay. So, picture this, right? It's the late 1950s, early 1960s types, yeah? Cold War is in like full swing. The US and the USSR, they're just not fighting over land or weapons, they're fighting over ideas. Right? Who's the most advanced? Who can push the limits of science? Who gets to say, oh, we did it before you?
Right? And space was literally like the ultimate flex. The first country to reach the stars wasn't just winning a scientific achievement. They were literally, they were proving that their political system.
They were kindly proving.
Yeah, their way of life is very official language. Kindly use your brains. Kind of thing. When you send professional emails,
Oh
you
my
when you
God,
want to kindly use your brains.
Yeah.
Kindly see these things. Anyway, coming back, right? So
Last episode was X's. This one is like.
right. So it's not just about who's winning this whole scientific achievement. It was also about proving that whoever's this political system, the way of life, was kind of superior to the other because they could reach the space and the other just couldn't.
And they just couldn't.
Right? So it's about power, it's about prestige, it's about proving to the world that you were the dominant force on the planet.
And let's be so honest, the Soviets were kind of killing it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? In the 1956, wow. In 1956, they launched Sputnik, which is the first artificial satellite. They sent the first living creature into orbit, Laika, the space dog.
Yeah.
By 1961, they had officially sent the first human, Yuri Gagarin, into space and brought him back alive. Technically, they were ahead of the US at every step.
But here's where things get suspicious because the Soviet Union was a closed society, right? Which means that they controlled what information the world saw. So if something failed, they just had the power to erase it from history. And unlike NASA, where failures were public, like the Apollo 1 disaster, the Soviets actually made sure that the failures just didn't exist.
So, if cosmonauts were sent up before Gagarin and something went wrong, what would they do? Just admit defeat? Risk embarrassing their entire country, or just cover it up?
That's exactly why some people believe, actually, that's what they believe happened.
Yeah.
Right? So that before Gagarin, there were others that the Soviet Union launched humans into space, but when the missions failed, because obviously, I mean, it's kind of understanding it would fail because you're kind of going into this place that you don't know, right? But
Yeah.
when those missions failed, when those cosmonauts never came back, they just erased them from history. There are no records, there are no graves, there's just silence.
And trust us, there's some chilling cues. Yes. Some chilling clues. Technically, cues are another word for clues, at least in psychology. Okay, they basically suggest that this isn't just a theory, and some people claim to have heard lost cosmonauts dying in space.
Yeah, you heard that right. We're talking about radio signals, recordings,
Recordings,
recordings that might just be
reckonings.
the last transmissions of people the world was never supposed to know about.
So, shall we get into it? About were these
Think we
missing
should.
cosmonauts and what exactly did people hear?
I really think we should. I think
Yeah?
it's high time now, don't you think?
Maybe. Just maybe.
This is where things get creepy because let's talk about two guys who might have accidentally uncovered one of the biggest space conspiracies of all times. Okay, it's Achille and Giovanni Giudica Cordigilla. I'm sorry if the pronunciation is wrong, but they're two Italian brothers. Okay,
Right. So they're amateur radio operators. And apparently the world's
words.
the world's most committed eavesdroppers. So back in the 1950s, again, early 60s. Um, can you stop distracting me?
Sorry, go on.
Every 2 seconds you just keep poking me.
I'm sorry, go on.
So they set up a listening station in Turin. Hopefully that's pronounced
I
correctly.
think it is.
But in Italy, and started intercepting Soviet space transmissions.
Yeah, and at first they picked up normal things like signals from Sputnik, official communications, and then in 1960 they started hearing something else, something they weren't supposed to hear.
So let's be completely clear, right? These guys weren't just random dudes with a radio. They were skilled enough to track Soviet space missions before they were publicly announced. And they even recorded Gagarin's first flight before the USSR officially confirmed it. So when they claim they are evidence of missing cosmonauts, people tend to listen.
Yeah, and because the signals they picked up, they kind of sound like people dying in space, like literal SOS signals, desperate, gasping voices,
Gaping voice.
right? So it kind of just made it easier to believe what they were saying. But the Soviet Union, they never admitted to any of it.
Okay, so let's go through some of the most disturbing recordings that the brothers picked up.
Yeah. So here's the recording that we will first. This is basically recording one,
Yeah.
correct? That we have three recordings and this is recording one. Okay. So what you hear is a Morse code of three literal letters, which would like spell SOS, which is the universal help thing, right?
Code, yeah.
So you see that it's saying SOS 3 times and it's in Morse code. But the brothers claimed that they had received a full recording that said SOS to the world, which was repeated 3 times. So this recording only shows the SOS being repeated 3 times. But though I don't think I searched, but there is no recording that was released of the whole thing saying. It's only that the brothers claimed that they had a longer recording, which was never released.
Maybe the
as far as I know.
USSR like deleted it.
Right? But what is terrifying about this is that the USSR never acknowledged any launch at that time. Right? So if this is, according to the USSR, if this is not real, that means someone just flew into space and never returned.
But okay.
Like, what helium were they on?
Imagine, like, no, imagine someone just like swallowed a bunch of helium from like a couple balloons and just floating off into space.
Yeah, like who, like I don't know. USSR just wanted to believe this, that someone just walked out of the house and like, today let's fly, and zoop, up they went.
Superman.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so we've got recording 2, which took place around 1961. So here's the recording. So what they heard was a faint heartbeat and breathing, which was transmitted from a capsule with no response to Soviet ground control. And why it's so like terrifying, it's because like it sounds like someone is alive in space and like genuinely completely alone and like suffocating.
I know, right? I mean, you can find, for some extent you can be like, oh, it's not heartbeats, it's not
Yeah.
heartbeats, but you hear the gasp, you hear
Right.
the breath.
Like
that cannot be anything except someone breathing,
Yeah.
right?
That's so like when I heard it first, it was so flippin' creepy.
Isn't it? Like, can you imagine? There's just, even maybe right now, like we talk,
Yeah.
there's just something's just going on in that world out
Yeah.
there, isn't it?
And like it's not like the USSR gave a reply. It's not like they were like, oh, it's aliens.
Yeah, exactly,
Right?
right?
Their
At least if you want to lie, make it believable.
their commitment to ignoring, it's like it's crazy, which makes it more believable.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's literally like brain melting.
Right. So the next one is, which is the last recording that we have. Now this is a little it's a little bit more
Real.
Yeah, and I would like to just warn people that if it's a scenario that's very easy for, especially for people who can imagine things a lot.
Yeah.
It's very easy for you to get either depressed or get very worried about this.
Yeah.
So proceed with caution.
So
It
this is a trigger warning.
Yeah, it's a trigger warning, and it is a woman who is in space, and she's speaking in Russian. So I will obviously translate what she's saying after you hear the recording. So just warning you, basically. And this is who people think was the first woman in space and not the one who actually went afterwards. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is
So
the
basically, if you don't think you're the type of person who can handle,
yeah, maybe you can just speed past maybe for about 20 seconds if you don't want to hear the recording, because I think me telling you that may still not be that triggering as maybe just you listening to it.
Right, because it's actually like really creepy.
It is, especially
And sad.
I think maybe if you just ignore, like, unless you know what they're saying,
Yeah.
it's still not that bad. But the moment you get to know what she was trying to say, is just it's just a little,
it's a little too real.
Yeah.
For a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So we're just giving you a warning here.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's the recording. So, like we said, it's a woman who's speaking Russian, and obviously, most of it is unclear. There's a lot of disturbance. But what you can understand out of what she's saying, and people who have translated it, is that she says, these are her words. So, one, two, three, four, five. Then she says, talk, talk. I feel hot. Oxygen. Isn't it dangerous? How can I transmit this? On the left side, I see a flame. Do you hear me? 32. Am I gonna crash? Please. And moments later, the transmission cuts out. And why it's terrifying is that no woman was officially sent into space until 1963. So if this is real, she's literally just burnt up alone, and no one was supposed to know about it, and no one knew about it.
I mean, like, could you, like, genuinely imagine that? You're stranded in space, no one, like, knowing no one is gonna come for you. And you know that even if you scream, no one can hear you. Except probably two Italian guys who weren't even supposed to be listening.
Right? And the worst part is that the Soviet Union never acknowledged these missions. I mean,
Exactly.
if you fail, at least for the sake of these people
Yeah.
who have lost their lives, who
Yeah.
trusted you and went into space because you said
Exactly.
everything was fine, have gone in and at least have the decency to be like, hey, we failed
Yeah.
and it's our fault or whatever's the fault that
Yeah.
these people are not alive.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's just the fact that you would just,
Choose to, like,
right?
throw them away.
Right? So there's no missing astronauts, there's no failed launches, just a clean, perfect record. Of course, these recordings obviously say otherwise, but how perfect do you think we think it is to go into space?
Exactly. And we genuinely have to now ask, who are these cosmonauts? We don't. The USSR hasn't told us literally anything about them.
Because according to them, they don't exist.
Exactly. And do we actually have their names? Is there any evidence on excluding the recordings that they existed before being erased?
Exactly, right? So, why don't we talk about the names that actually may have been erased from
You're
history?
welcome, USSR. What's the
Doing
name?
your job.
Yeah, you're so rude. It's crazy. Don't comfort me.
Yeah, please don't.
But like, bro, the hell?
Okay. So we've obviously heard these recordings. We've got that missions that may have not have existed or maybe they existed. But who were these people that we're talking about, right? Were they actual cosmonauts? Were their names ever recorded anywhere? Or did the Soviet Union do such a good job of erasing them that we'll just never know?
And you know what the really funny thing about history is? Secrets always have a way of leaking out.
Yep.
And over the years, names just popped up. Names of people who may have been sent to space before Gagarin, only to disappear.
And keep in mind that these weren't just random names. Some of them were real Soviet cosmonauts in training, but their fates are completely unknown. Okay, so now let's talk about the potential missing cosmonauts, right? So the first one is Vladimir Serov and Alexei
Alexei.
Alexei Ledvosky. So from 1957 to maybe 1959. Who were they? They were Soviet test pilots who were selected for early top secret space missions. And according to rumors, they were sent up before Yuri Gagarin in early experimental flights, but their crafts never returned. And the reason, obviously, this is suspicious is because their names appeared in declassified Western intelligence reports, but the USSR never acknowledged them at all.
And then we've got Gennady Zavadovsky. Really hope I'm pronouncing that right. So He was an alleged cosmonaut who trained alongside Gagarin, and his name was found on a memorial plaque in the Soviet Union, listed among pilots who had died in the line of duty. But there was no public record of his mission. And if he never officially went to space, why was he honored as if he had?
I know, right?
Exactly.
Okay, next is Ludmila Tukov. So she was a woman who was she's sorry. She's the woman who we heard the recording of, the third recording, number 3. It's believed that this was her recording, her from space, right? So story goes that she was the first woman sent into space, but her capsule malfunctioned and burned up on re-entry, which kind of makes sense with the way she says that I see a flame on the left and it's very hot in here. And the reason it's suspicious is because the USSR didn't send an official female astronaut until 1963, but some believe that Tokov went up first and just never came back.
And let's be real, this wouldn't be the first time the USSR erased someone. Soviet leaders had a long history of removing people from photos, documents, even existence itself when they were just inconvenient.
Yeah, and if you fell out of favor with the government, it was like you never existed. So that so the idea that they could have actually covered up failed space mission, honestly, I don't think it's that far fetched.
Okay, so hold up, right? What about like genuine and actual Soviet documents? Have we found anything that proves this wasn't just like a Cold War rumor?
And that's where things get interesting because over the years, these declassified Soviet records have given us some clues. So why don't we why don't we talk about those things that the USSR also hid?
Isn't that just a long list?
Okay, so now, of course, we have rumors, we've got creepy recordings, we've got names of people who might have been sent into space and erased from history. But what about hard evidence? Because technically, that's what we all believe in, don't we? So, is there anything in actual Soviet documents that point to this cover up being real?
Well, funny you ask that.
Hmm.
Because after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, a ton of classified files just started getting declassified. And guess what? Some of those files hint that the USSR space program wasn't as perfect as they made it seem.
And listen, when an entire government collapses, people obviously start talking. Former Soviet officials, cosmonauts, engineers, they finally had the freedom to say what they never could before.
And some of them admitted that failed space missions did happen, but the Soviet Union covered them up to protect its reputation.
So now let's discuss the key pieces of declassified evidence. The first one was the phantom cosmonaut photos. So in the early 2000s, researchers found Soviet era training photos with cosmonauts in them. But in later versions, some of them were just edited out, like just gone. And people believe that these were the cosmonauts who died during the early space flights, and they were literally erased from record to avoid embarrassment.
Man, what is all of this? You erase a person who has dedicated their entire life for your country, for your country to move ahead.
I know, right? I mean, can you imagine? Like, I really commend the people who get into a space fair and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go into space."
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. When you're anywhere on Earth, there is ways of getting in touch with people and getting back to where you are.
Exactly, yeah.
Who can help you from space? Literally, like Sunita Williams
Exactly.
and what's his name? I'm so sorry.
um
Bucky. Basically, I'm sorry, but there are
it's
two
it's
people.
sunny and it's something with B, but
Butch. Butch.
Butch,
Yeah,
Butch.
right? So the fact that they're stuck over there, like,
No, I'm not laughing that they're stuck. I'm
she's
laughing at
laughing that I didn't remember his name. But
yeah.
anyway, and I'm sorry about that. What I'm saying is that the fact that you would get into a spacecraft,
Yeah.
you would put all your belief in a few people, right? And you get into a spacecraft, you would go up there, you would like, I mean, okay, everything has, like, literally, Sunita Williams,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be a week that they were
Exactly.
in space.
And
She's
they've
still
been for
stuck there,
months.
right? She's still stuck there. I don't know when she's going to come back.
They are going to come
Actually, yeah,
back.
both of them. So we don't know when they're going to come back. Just the fact that, the, can you imagine?
Exactly. And also, space is such a place we know literally 2% of,
Exactly.
if probably even less. Because we're discovering how literally a star is born, how they collide. Every, like, till now we're still learning how stars work, and you're just blindly putting your trust on like a little metal bus.
And to not even like have the decency to be like, hey, these were the people who we have to remember because, hey, they chose to trust us.
Exactly. Even if it was a failed mission, so what? Right? They've put literally their entire lives in your hand.
Yeah.
And what do? Erase them from existence. And now we're talking about this, how would their family feel?
Can you imagine?
Right? Or do they just pick up orphans so no one would miss them?
Okay, moving on.
So then we've got the secret 1960 rocket explosion. So in October 1960, a Soviet rocket exploded on the launch pad, killing at least 78 people. And the USSR never publicly acknowledged this disaster until,
I think we can just put this, USSR did not acknowledge this
yeah,
everywhere.
like,
Because they just do not acknowledge
right,
anything.
they did at least decades later, right?
Yeah,
And they flipping covered up a disaster that big. What else could like they have hidden?
exactly. Then we have suspiciously redacted flight records. So declassified Soviet mission logos, sorry, they show gaps in flight numbers, suggesting that certain launches happened but were later removed from official records. And even today, Russian officials refuse to explain these missing records.
And then we've got possibly a Soviet cosmonaut's confession, maybe.
Maybe,
It's
maybe.
supposed to be sad.
I'm not sad. I'm not laughing at anyone.
You can't making me laugh.
I'm giving you ASMR.
I hate ASMR. I hate ASMR. Stop that. Okay. So, um, in 1993. Okay, your ASMR copy
I'm
is so
sorry.
off
I'm
guard.
sorry. I'm sorry.
In 1993,
Yeah.
Alexei Leonov,
Mm-hmm.
a real Soviet cosmonaut, claimed that two cosmonauts died in a failed suborbital flight. In failed suborbital flights before Gagarin, but the government covered it up. And if a cosmonaut himself admitted to this, how much truth is hidden in these rumors? Huh? Huh? Huh?
Yeah, well, I'm not hiding anything.
Huh?
So let's add all this up, right? So we have deleted names, we have missing flight records, and actual cosmonauts saying that missions were covered up. Isn't just a wild conspiracy theory, right? This kind of seems like a pattern for the USSR.
Exactly. And it makes sense. It makes so much sense. Right? The Soviet Union was just competing against the US in the most high stakes race in history. And failure, apparently, to them just wasn't an option. So if people died in early attempts, they believed that the simplest way to protect their reputation was like to genuinely pretend it never happened.
But if they did cover up, what exactly happened to these lost cosmonauts?
What
Were they
happened?
left drifting in space?
Did they?
Did their capsules burn up in the atmosphere? So now let's talk about the most chilling possibilities of what could have actually happened. Thanks for the effects, I
That's
guess.
like chilling, like,
It's supposed to be chilling.
yeah, like,
Okay.
yeah. I'm sorry if anyone wants to go pee now.
If these lost cosmonauts were actually real and the Soviet Union erased them from history, what actually happened, right? Because if they didn't come back, where did they actually go?
Why did they actually go? Huh? And when things get dark, because the theories, they're terrifying.
And things. And I'm sorry. Go on.
What did I say it wrong?
Nothing.
Did I
Nothing.
say
Just go.
something wrong?
No, no. I kind of understand. You're like, and things get when things get dark, and I was like, what are you? Where are you going with this? When things get dark, and then you're like, oh, because of the theories, they're terrifying. I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. I just felt like maybe you should have used when. When things get dark.
I'm gonna burp on your face.
Okay, moving on.
Then you'll hear my stinky breath. Hear my stinky breath?
I'm telling you, you're messed up today.
Yeah. What am I not? So, theory one. They burned up in the atmosphere. Imagine someone clips this and it's so out of context. They burn up in the atmosphere. They won't die at the end, they burn up in the atmosphere.
Oh my god.
So this is one of the most common explanations. If a re-entry vehicle malfunctions, it can turn into a fireball while coming back to Earth. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Of course I did. We learned it in school. Why rockets were made out of inflammable materials on the exterior and all of that.
I haven't learned that. And if you believe the Judica
Basically, the brothers.
Cordelia, yeah, those kids, not the brothers. Ah, yes, the brothers. The brother. Why do they have different last names of their brothers?
That's their names. Judica called. So it's hyphenated last names.
Ah, okay,
It's not two people's
okay,
names.
okay. So this is what are they saying?
I don't know. You were telling something about the recordings.
Yeah. So if you basically believe the recordings, this is exactly what happened to Ludmila Tokov and basically burned up in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Right where the Russian woman is saying, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. Oxygen, I can see the flame to the left.
Yeah.
Right? So what was the USSR solution? Pretend it
I
didn't happen.
wonder. I mean, they're so unpredictable. But I just
Yeah.
don't know what they could have
Usually,
done.
most times they just tell everyone that Miss Falls from
Yes, I
them.
really don't know what they would
Yeah.
do this
So
time.
guess what? Just as usual, destroy all records of the mission and pretend it never happened.
So just imagine you're strapped in a capsule, you're falling towards Earth, and instead of a smooth landing, you realize you're just not slowing down. The heat shield fails, and you feel the temperature skyrocket, and the last thing you see are flames engulfing your tiny spacecraft.
Trigger warning after it's been said.
Yeah.
So that is nightmare fuel, isn't it? And the worst part, there was literally no wreckage left, just a few metal fragments scattered in the upper atmosphere. No proofs, no remains, nothing to investigate.
So the second theory is that maybe they're still floating in space, either dead or alive. So some theorists believe that one or more cosmonauts were launched into space, but their capsules never returned. And if their orbit wasn't set correctly, they could have missed Earth entirely, turning into permanent space debris. So the worst case scenario is that they died of oxygen depletion and they're just floating further and further away from home.
Damn, man. Imagine you're
Literally,
literally.
imagine going to space and maybe it's all just dead bodies.
Is that why they. Oh my god. Is Elon Musk trying to make everyone face the truth?
I love how we somehow the other go back to Elon Musk.
Crazy Elon Musk, you need to accept the truth. You're not a good
Somehow or the
billionaire.
other we always go back to him.
Because he's an awful person.
Okay.
And his daughter doesn't like him.
Okay.
Oh, so trigger warning for what I'm gonna say. Unlike my
Maybe say
sister,
it now.
unlike my sister, I don't give trigger warnings after I say it.
Even though I was the first one who gave the trigger warning.
So imagine you're in a tiny capsule, just expecting to land back on Earth, and then your navigation system fails. Then you look to your instruments, and you realize you're heading deep into space. No fuel, no way to turn around, just endless void.
And the Soviets just erased your name from history. So now no one even knows you're up there. That's just insanely cruel. You're just drifting, A ghost in the cosmos forever.
I don't. I genuinely don't think I would. At that point, when I'm floating into space, I wouldn't be like, "Oh my god, will the Soviets release my name?"
Obviously not.
Wouldn't that be
I don't
hilarious?
think I don't think you would even think that someone would erase your name.
Oh my god, that's so true.
Right? Why would you think that, oh my god, I failed a mission, so hey, I don't exist anymore?
But since I've been doing it so often, even with the government and stuff, wouldn't you expect it?
Oh my god. I want I should not say that.
Say
Let's
it,
not
say
say
it, say it, say it, say it, say it, say it.
Isn't this like the best way for someone who's, I don't know, has loans or something?
Oh my
Such
god,
money?
yeah. Yes. Oh my god. Just go like fail your mission and all your loans are gone. Bye bye.
Okay.
And then every single homeless person just goes and joins the USSR.
Uh-huh.
They're quite expensive, no?
I'm sure they are.
We've got theory number 3. Did they crash somewhere on Earth, but did the USSR cover it up?
Surprise, surprise. USSR covered it up.
So some rumors suggest that the failed cosmonauts actually made it back to Earth, but they crashed in remote locations where recovery was impossible. If they landed in the Siberian wilderness or the Arctic, they may have been left for dead. And just as usual, the USSR would rather bury the evidence than admit failure. And they could have literally buried the evidence.
And
Because
I
they're bodies, and you bury bodies.
and I hate how actually believable this is. Like if a capsule actually crashed into a frozen wasteland, how easy would it be to just not talk about it ever again?
And even if like someone found a wreckage decades later, they wouldn't be able to identify it, right? Just a rusty old metal shell, like long strip of anything literally identifiable and identifiable
Identical.
and identifiable.
Okay. So that brings us to theory number 4, that the Soviets experimented on them. And now this theory is just out there, okay?
Oh, that.
So some believe that the missing cosmonauts weren't lost, they were just silenced. Maybe their bodies were recovered, but they were kept secret of or for political reasons, not or for political reasons. Or in the darkest version of this theory, they were used for experiments, studied to see what happens to the human body after extreme radiation exposure or prolonged time in zero gravity.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. See, sometimes you have to be emotionally prepared for a theory, and I am not for this one. Right? You're telling me that they could have survived their missions only to be locked away like a bunch of literal goddamn zoo animals, so no one would find out?
And with how secretive the USSR was, we wouldn't even know what if, like, we wouldn't even know anything, right? Like, what if they found something out, some horrifying effects of space travel, and they just kept it hidden?
Oh, you know, you're causing me to spiral right now. Like, genuinely, I need to know. Has anyone ever come forward with like actual proof? Like, any final piece of evidence that could settle this? Like, once and for all.
Oh, you're not ready for the next segment then.
Mm.
Now we've gone through theories, the fireball re-entry, the lost in space nightmare, the crash cover-ups, and the top secret experiments, right? But the biggest question is, has anyone actually found real solid and undeniable proof
Undeniable.
that these lost cosmonauts actually existed?
And here's where things get interesting
Interesting.
and frustrating. Because there are clues, right? But nothing's 100% concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Like no officially recovered bodies, no old spacecraft with missing names, or no. There were literally no signed confessions from the Kremlin. But there are really suspicious pieces of evidence that keep this theory alive.
For example, the mysterious Gagarin interview. So Yuri Gagarin, the first officially recognized man in space, once made a very cryptic statement in his interview that people still kind of debate over.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was asked about being the first, he allegedly said, "I don't know whether I was the first man in space or the last." And that's ominous as hell to me.
Like, why would he say that, bro? It sounds like that's literal code for I know something you don't, but I can't say it.
Exactly. And a few years later, Gagarin dies in a mysterious plane crash. Coincidence? Maybe, but some people believe he actually knew too much.
The Soviets are so like they keep killing people and removing them from existence.
Well, they didn't erase him from his existence at least.
They just killed him.
Yeah, I guess he was a little too
Public.
yeah, and also because he was like their
Main man.
yeah the accomplishment was
Yeah. And there are a bunch of Soviet defectors
yeah.
who claimed it was true. So, in the 1960s, sorry, the 1970s and 1980s, a few former Soviet officials defected to the West, and some of them claimed that the lost cosmonaut theory was actually real. So, one Soviet engineer reportedly told Western intelligence that at least three cosmonauts were lost,
Lost.
were launched before Gagarin.
I mean, lost could also make sense.
Yeah, it's both correct, isn't it? But they didn't survive.
And yet, we still don't have the names or proofs, right? It's like the ultimate unsolved mystery. And the
Yeah.
puzzle pieces are there, but kind of no one's really pulling them together.
Right? And it's like, you've completed your entire jigsaw puzzle and there's like one or two pieces you don't have.
No, but that's the thing. That is when you have most of the story, but you don't have one part of it. Here, we just have fragments of a story that are not coming together. So you're not even able to make the whole jigsaw puzzle. Because you have all the pieces for the jigsaw
Yeah,
puzzle.
like
They just
every
don't fit.
alternate
Yeah,
thing
they
is
just don't
missing.
fit with each other.
Right. And you've also got the Vanishing Cosmonaut Monument.
Yeah.
So it's a small Soviet space memorial. Once had extra names engraved on it, and these are names that disappeared in later versions. So were they erased from history in a extremely literal way? Or like, bro, I can't. It's like genuinely too much. Like the USSR literally was out here like Thanos snapping people out of existence. Like, oh my god.
I swear. Okay. And then the other one is the 2011 discovery of an
Unidentified?
cannot talk
Are you trying to say unidentified?
unidentified Soviet space capsule. Right. So in 2011, a group of researchers claimed to have found the remains of an unknown Soviet space capsule deep in the Ural
Ural.
mountains.
Ural?
So it wasn't linked to any official missions. So could actually have belonged to one of the lost cosmonauts.
And if what you're saying is true, and do you believe it's true?
I don't know. Maybe.
How many more might still be out there?
Exactly.
Just literally waiting to be found? And what if the evidence is literally buried somewhere like the dead bodies, just waiting for the right person to uncover it?
Are you the right person?
Am I the right person?
Are you listening the right person? Are you listening? One who's listening, are you the right person?
Are you the right person?
And what if Russia still knows, but kind of refuses to acknowledge it? Like, even if there was a single lost cosmonaut, even if, let's say, a single lost cosmonaut is confirmed, right? It kind of changes the entire history of human spaceflight.
Yeah. My brain is breaking. I just like genuinely. What do we think? Is this theory plausible or is it like Cold War paranoia?
I genuinely have no idea. But the recordings seem very,
I
very
know,
realistic, don't they?
especially the woman,
Especially like,
the
I mean,
breathing.
yeah, and AI wasn't even a thing at that point, so it can't
Exactly.
be someone created some.
Oh my god, it's literally mind breaking.
Exactly.
Oh
So
my
why don't we
god.
leave it to you? Why don't you guys? Why don't you guys tell us what you think?
Yeah,
Let us know by reaching out to us or just by commenting everywhere
everywhere,
or
literally.
wherever you're comfortable with, and telling us whether you actually believe.
And please hope and pray for us that Russia doesn't come for us.
Shh, don't give ideas.
No! I never said anything.
Yeah, basically that's all we're saying. That let us know what you think
Yeah.
is true, what is possible, what is not possible, and which theory makes sense, and what you thought.
And
of
if
the
it even
record.
makes sense.
Yeah, like are we just crazy out here?
Yeah, we are, but like, that's
Actually
not the
crazy.
matter of discussion.
It's always a
Schizophrenia.
matter of discussion.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Okay.
Impossible.
Right. So we've broken down the theory, we went over the possibilities and the evidence, right? The wild claims. Now we really need to ask, why does this missing cosmonauts theory actually still matter today?
Right? Like, why, after all of these decades, literal decades, are we still obsessing over this? The Soviet Union is long gone, and here we are discussing cosmonauts who were erased from history.
And it's not just this theory, it's the whole idea of secrecy, right? What governments can hide, what's been buried, and what we'll never know. It kind of taps on this fear of just being forgotten or erased. Like, is it that easy to just erase people from
Reality.
existence?
That's so deep to think about, and even if you like ponder about it, these people, real
Cosmonauts.
cosmonauts, may have given their lives for space exploration, and their names are just gone. Right? If the USSR could do that, you know, what else could they have hidden from the public? What about today? Did they do something like that literally in the second?
And it's like once you know something like this is possible, you can't unknow it, right? You start kind
Yeah,
of start questioning everything. You,
right?
if they could erase cosmonauts, what else are they covering up now in today's world where anything is possible, right?
Right, with AI and
What
stuff.
secrets are being locked away as we are speaking right now?
And this is the problem with completely putting out faith and trust in governments, right? If they could fake moon landing photos, launch people into space, and make them disappear, what else can they hide from us? Right? We have to wonder if we know the whole truth about quite literally anything.
Right? And exactly, it's not just about space either,
Yeah.
right? It's the same kind of secrecy we see with military operations, with intelligence agencies, and even corporate circles. The more information we lose, it's literally what we crave of it. So I guess I understand that there are times where, maybe just telling every other thing that happens, every national security issue,
Yeah.
letting everyone know just creates panic. I get that. But I feel like there should be a line where whatever it is, whether you're hiding from the public, whatever it is, but at least own up to your mistakes
Exactly.
and say that, hey guys, we want to do better. We apologize for this.
We acknowledge our
Yeah, we
mistakes.
acknowledge that we've made a mistake. We've sent these people out there. We wanted to be, the first ones to do, but things didn't go well.
Yeah.
And hey, here we are.
I think even if you do a mission like this in secret
Yeah,
and it fails, after it at least acknowledge that, hey, we didn't tell you that we were gonna do this thing, but hey, we did it. And we have lost such important members of our team who have
exactly.
literally risked their lives.
Yeah, and okay, fine. You didn't want to say it then. Okay, when the recordings came out,
Yeah,
at least do not make fun of people's intelligence who are kind of like, listening and being like, hey, I
yeah,
can hear someone breathing. Or there is a
exactly.
woman who's talking out there and be like, no, 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 this never happened.
Yeah. And it's just not just about the lost cosmonauts. The whole theory just highlights how easily history can be rewritten,
Exactly.
and how many other events or even people have been forgotten or replaced by lies, right? Who gets to control what we remember?
And it's honestly so terrifying to think about, right? Like, but I think that that's what keeps this theory alive, the
Yeah.
mystery, because it kind of taps into this whole deep human need to kind of know everything,
Mm-hmm.
to not be kept in the dark. And right now, we're just staring into this black hole of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And it's kind of irresistible to kind of figure out that why I want to know everything I could about
Right,
this.
exactly. And it's like the missing cosmonauts are just not part of the past. They're still living in our minds today.
Exactly.
And their mystery is just like this nagging itch that we can't quite scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? Maybe we'll never get all of the answers.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that we won't stop searching for them, right?
Exactly. So here's the final question. Do we believe the USSR sent astronauts into space, erased them, and covered up their deaths?
So if you ask me, I'm gonna lean towards yes,
Okay.
right? I think the Soviet Union was just so obsessed with appearing flawless that losing cosmonauts would have been the kind of thing they would have to cover up in their minds. And with the amount of weird evidence we've seen, I think that something definitely, like, for sure went down.
Same here. I don't think the USSR was kind of shy about hiding their failures. Like the cosmonauts were expandable, right? Especially when space exploration was such a big, high stake worthy game, right? So I think that there were people launched into space
Yeah,
and we'll never know their names. Yeah, I do think
yeah.
that's true.
I do want to know who these people are.
Right? Whether who we think they are, whether they are the ones.
Yeah.
And
Like,
just if you don't
flippin', we know who Jack the Ripper is. We know who's such a huge person who's taken the lives of so many people. We know
yeah.
who he is. But we don't know these people who could have literally guaranteed safety for everyone else who's gone to space after them.
Yeah.
Right? They, like, Alexei?
Yeah.
Not Alexei. Who is Stokov?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stokov. What if the rocket heating up actually helped the Soviet Union find out how to help other astronauts,
Yeah. And
right,
maybe
while
it
they're in
did help
space?
though. I mean, obviously, if all of this has happened, Soviet Unions obviously learned from it
Yeah,
and
exactly.
made
And
it better for Yuri.
exactly. And just that's the funniest thing, isn't it? Because we'll never know their names,
Yeah.
right?
And we don't even know if the names we have are actually their
Exactly.
names.
And we may never know the full story. And that's what makes everything so damn compelling.
Yeah.
Because there's always that little thread of mystery that we keep pulling and pulling, and which keeps us so constantly wondering and makes us come back for more.
Right? And this, exactly what we've had discussing for all this time, is exactly why this theory is still alive today, right? Because the truth is somewhere in the fog. And while we may never actually get there, but it's the search for these answers that keeps the missing of the cosmonauts, its mystery so magnetic.
So hopefully, really hopefully one day that when we keep pushing, the Soviet people from the Soviet Union, we keep prodding at them, they'll hopefully tell us everything that happened. And what do you guys think though? Was it all just like Cold War paranoia? Is there like a darker truth behind it? Behind like the Iron Curtain? So let us know your thoughts, drop a message, like hit us up on social media or just scream it into the void because I kind of feel like that's what this episode feels like.
Oh my god, just screaming into the void.
Yeah. Oh my god, because I feel like I've been just shouting this entire episode. Like if you look at my like voice things versus yours, mine is like crazy.
Yeah, that is true. Very true.
Yeah.
Okay, and with that, we'll keep searching for more mysteries.
Yeah.
Who knows what's out there that's waiting to be uncovered?
Yeah.
And maybe the next conspiracy theory we'll tackle give us the answers to the big questions, or at least some really fun speculations.
So, thank you so much, guys, for tuning into another episode of Unreal Unsolved. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and most importantly, don't trust everything you hear, especially when it comes to the Cold War or governments in general,
And until next time, keep your eyes to the sky and your mind open. You never know what's out there.
or what's being kept from us.
See
See
you
you
next
next time.
time.